2 Thessalonians 2:8. And then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Call Halal, Yahawah, Bahasham, Bahasham, double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, and be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners. And to the Yahawah that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother MALCHAAMAH from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. All right, let me go to Revelation 19 and 20. And it reads, nope, that's not it. That's what it was. Revelation 19:10. And I fell at his feet to worship him, and he said unto me, See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren, and have the testimony of Yahawashi. Worship God, for the testimony of Yahawashi is a spirit of prophecy. And the men of the Great Millstone, from the apostles and elder bishops on down to the cadets standing on the other side of the line, is a spirit of prophecy. We come in the spirit of Yahawashi, prophesying what is going to happen before it happens, and the things that the men of the Great Millstone have been telling you since I first laid eyes on them. All right. And stop watching Nate and GOCC and all these other people. All right. Yeah, I remember Bishop Nate was actually on YouTube before the Great Millstone. All right. And I was watching him, and I was watching he was Nathaniel 7 back then in 2006. All right. But you know, he wasn't the way. The Spirit revealed that he wasn't the way, especially once he stopped calling on the name of Yahawah, Yahawashi. All right. And Salakia, there's nothing I could do about that advertisement that they threw in there. The Edomitish woman, you know, with a great big old girls hanging out, and she's like bouncing in and out. So Salakia for that. That's just something that's on the internet. But I was looking for this image of Xi Jinping, the president of China, and his Saudi visit. And I'm going to play a couple short videos, you know, about what's happening with the Saudis. As you can see the bottom image there, you know, and how they rolled out the red carpet for him. They even had their warplanes fly the colors of the the Chinese flag. And this union, you know, with Saudi joining onto the BRICS nations, you know, the Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, you know, we've been talking about that being a problem for America since their inception. I think they came together in 2014 or 15, and we saw the end of the dollar then. You know, we knew that it was going to come to this. It just took, you know, a few more years longer than, well, quite a few more years longer than we thought. When I saw that happen, I thought that, you know, we had a year or two before we were out of here. But clearly, you know, a lot had to happen. Everything happens in the time of the Lord. You have to remember, you know, 1,000 years to us is only one day to the Lord. So time passes differently in the spiritual realm. So all things have to be fulfilled. But without any further ado, let me pull up these videos that my sister-in-law sent me. You know, and it's funny because, you know, she grew up Catholic all her life, and she was hearing all these things firsthand, and now she's constantly sending me a lot of information I get from her, and then I get from my beloved sister Rashonda. Shalom, sister. And they send me a lot of information, and I'll use it in lessons, you know, to edify. But my sister-in-law been on fire as of lately. I mean, because she actually believes. So here we go.
A big shout out to Vladimir Putin. Thanks, Vlad. We appreciate you. First and foremost, let me make this abundantly clear. I'm an American citizen and a patriot before anything. I love my country and I love my freedom. So you might be asking yourself, why am I thinking Vladimir Putin? Well, I think what Vladimir Putin did was he exposed to the American people how far this administration is willing to go in order to maintain their radical narrative. These are the facts. The facts are
radical narrative, meaning complete and total lies. The American mainstream media and its handlers push complete and total lies, medically and especially geopolitically, all to fit their narrative. All right.
They released an America-hating WNBA player who was guilty of a crime, traded her for a terrorist whose sole purpose in life is to kill American citizens, meanwhile leaving an American patriot who did no crime to rot in a Russian prison. And did you hear what Karine Jean-Pierre said at the White House press briefing? She said that Brittany Griner is a woman of color, an American, and a member of the LGBTQ community. What the fuck does that have to do with anything?
Exactly.
Are those the qualifications that you need to have in order to be freed or paid attention to by the U.S. government? This is fucking insanity. The American people are finally starting to see what the big picture is here. We are awake. Not woke, we are awake. The last video I put up on Brittany Griner yesterday morning got taken down. They actually said I was bullying her. The video started to go viral. Boom, it was taken down instantly. So I got to be real careful what I say on here. But if you like my content, you like the shit that I say, click the link in my bio, follow me on Rumble, or follow me on YouTube. Appreciate you guys.
Now, he was on, this video was actually on TikTok, this short, all right? Let me see, let me click on it, and the Count of Monte Cristo. That's the name. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and follow this brother, because his content is pretty good on the geopolitical point, all right? But as you see, the people are angry, man. Matter of fact, that brings to mind a scripture, because not only are the nations of the world feeling this way, but the citizens within the United States are feeling this way towards his government, and they're going to turn on Esau Edom because they're starting to see, and this dude is an Edomite, so it's clearly going to be Egyptian versus the Egyptian. But this is Job 20 and 22, and it reads, in the fullness of his sufficiency, when he gets everything done. And what is he about to do now? We're just a few days away from the first digital trials going. All right. Because as you see, I'm putting Xi Jinping back into I kind of like saying his name, Xi Jinping. But we're putting him back into focus on the camera here, simply because his digital thing is already up and going, and he's controlling his people in America. And that's one of the reasons why America's backpedaling and so behind. And they're just going to have to, America's going to getting to the point where they're just going to have to reveal their might. They're going to just force things, because they're behind the 8 ball right now. And everything that China has done, America wants to do. You know, they're angry that China and Russia got a jump on them in this whole digital thing. That's why, if you notice, the digital currencies just keep crashing, and all these cryptocurrency people, billionaires and innovators all keep coming up unalive all of a sudden. And I warned that would happen, over a year ago. All right. I told you that eventually the Fed was going to, for all these people believed in that the Fed was going to eventually create their own digital currency, and they was going to make all other digital currencies, ones within their power anyway, especially the ones that were coming out of the West from American citizens. They were going to make those things obsolete and criminalize these guys or unalive them. And that's exactly what's happening. All right. And people, like he said, they're not woke, they're awake. And then people starting to see that it's not about righteousness and justice and all that other stuff. It's about a certain group of individuals who clearly have hijacked the government, pushing forth their narrative. All right. The Z word ist that are in control, that operate out of the land of Israel. That's exactly what's going on. All right. And it says, well, let me go back to Job 20 and 20. Surely in 22, Job 20 and 22, in the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits, and every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. And Esau is in straits, especially the ones that sided with America in Europe. The Europeans are suffering horrifically because of the deals and that they followed when it came to the handling of certain business with the Russians. All right, with all these different sanctions that backfired, and which is why they keep losing allies. All right, literally by almost every week, every other week, America's in crisis with another ally that's that's going over to the other side. Okay. So with that, let me play this other video that she sent me. And it's the spirit, because I actually had planned on or wanted to use this portion of this video when I saw it, and whoever put this piece together on TikTok, they recorded just the portion that I wanted, so it was perfect. So it was all done through the spirit, man. But here we go. It's on Redacted, which is a good channel to subscribe to on YouTube.
Wow. What China just did yesterday is historic and changes everything. And the White House was even asked about it. They just kind of blew it off. We're not really worried about it. But they are worried about it.
No, they were worried.
And they are watching it very closely because this changes everything. Watch.
Xi Jinping made history today. The Chinese president landed in Riyadh. A red carpet awaited him. A historic Arab-China summit is to take place. And as the cameras of the world zoomed into Saudi Arabia, it was the United States that was watching most closely, with worry, with fear. America was watching its oil diplomacy fall apart.
So, wow, it is happening. More on that major.
So you got to think the oil diplomacy, that's how America kept the grip on everyone else since World War II. Then you begin to see, the connection with the Z control thing out of a certain part of the world over there, who are actually being completely and totally surrounded by people who don't like them, who have alliances with their enemies. So we're going to see how that goes. But there was a particular event that took place during World War II, all right, where documents were drafted up, and a certain people who were looking for a homeland or looking for a place to take. You can't look for a homeland. You either there or you either from there or not, because it come to find out that the first homeland was somewhere in Africa, and the place started with a U. All right, show you how off there. But anyway, so that deal was wrote up in in World War I, and then was implemented after World War II. All right, so that's where we are with that. So let's let her continue.
Piece of news in a second, but first, another major blow to the U.S. dollar yesterday. Overnight, we learned that the BRICS
Salakia.
Wow, what China.
Also, you have to understand too. That's how the U.S. dollar got its dominion. That's how America, the West, became the richest and most powerful country in the world, because the deal is that the Saudi Arabians would only sell their oil in the U.S. dollar, which made everyone else in the world have to use the dollar. If you understand what that means, everyone else that wanted oil had to transfer their money over to the dollars, all right, and then purchase what they needed for their country in American dollars. And that's no longer the case. Since the BRICS countries, well, first it started with Russia and China, they haven't been using the U.S. dollar for the most part since 2015. And those were two of the biggest economies in the world, all right, plus the BRICS countries, and now none of them are using it for the most part. And then all the other countries that are joining onto them, which is many, are also following suit. So what is that leaving, the dollar, which is really backed by nothing. All right, so now let's let them proceed. Let's start it again.
Just did yesterday is historic and changes everything. And the White House was even asked about it. They just kind of blew it off. We're not really worried about it. But they are worried about it, and they are watching it very closely because this changes everything. Watch.
Xi Jinping made history today. The Chinese president landed in Riyadh. A red carpet awaited him. A historic Arab-China summit is to take place. And as the cameras of the world zoomed into Saudi Arabia, it was the United States that was watching most closely, with worry, with fear. America was watching its oil diplomacy fall apart.
So, wow, it is happening. More on that major piece of news in a second, but first, another major blow to the US dollar yesterday. Overnight, we learned that the BRICS nations are now expanding. Yes, Egypt has officially joined the BRICS Development Bank. So let's be clear what's happening right in front of our faces. The BRICS nations of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa are building their own reserve currency built on gold and other commodities like uranium, graphite,
It's already built.
The United States dollar is built on debt.
Nothing.
And the nothing. Just like the never-ending story.
What is the nothing?
It's the emptiness that's left.
What is the nothing? Well, Atreyu, the nothing is a failure of Western hegemony, which is built on a house of cards. And now Egypt is applying for full...
And the people are pissed. All right? And they laid hope in digital currency, and now that's crashing. You're going to have some major problems here, but let them continue.
Membership in the BRICS alliance, but they're joining the bank piece of this first. And also Turkey, Saudi Arabia, they're both applying for BRICS membership as well, away from the US dollar as a reserve currency. So you can just imagine...
Now, what's sitting in the middle of all those countries? The land of Israel, making them extremely not safe. Extremely. Which... the scriptures clearly say that when Israel goes back to the land of Israel, they would dwell there in peace and safety alone. These people are not dwelling alone, and they're not dwelling in peace and safety. Therefore, they're not fitting the prophecy. So the question remains, who are these people? Well, we've been telling you all along, they're Esau, Edom. As a matter of fact, they're Amalek, the Amalekites. That's exactly who they are. As prophesied in the Bible.
For a moment, a Russia, Saudi, China, India currency backed by gold, it's game on. Now, BRICS is working to develop its own financial infrastructure, including a joint payment network, with some member states having already switched to trade in local currencies in order to reduce dependence on the US dollar and the euro. The 5 BRICS economies currently account for more than 40% of the world's population and nearly a quarter of global GDP. So, guys, it's happening. And then you want to layer in Saudi Arabia and Turkey and Egypt. Again, this house of cards is falling.
Yep.
So this BRICS news is a huge piece of the story. So why is Saudi Arabia turning its back on the United States? Well, it can be traced back to one event, one big event, the start of the war in Ukraine. OPEC Plus and Saudi Arabia specifically warned the United States not to impose sanctions on Russia. They didn't listen.
But see, this is how you know that the Lord is in control of everything. And this is Chris Morris from Redacted on YouTube, by the way. I highly suggest if you really want to know what's going on geopolitically, this is one of those few channels that would actually give you the straight skinny. All right, that's Clayton Morris on Redacted. He and his wife have a podcast that they do together. All right, and as he was speaking, you know, some of America's allies warned them not to do these sanctions on Russia and etc. All right, and because it all backfired. Boris Johnson, he said, so never mind. That's something else that I was reading, Salakia.
Headedly did the opposite, and we thought our relationship with Saudi Arabia would continue unabated. We'll just continue to buy your oil, send you weapons, and everything will be okay. Nope, not even close. In fact, this is a failure of the Biden administration of the highest order, and it will hurt America's ability to secure low-cost oil, period. And John Kirby was asked about it, and he said, the Saudis love us. We'll go. We've got nothing to worry about. Clearly, we're better partners than they are. Forget those Chinese and those Russian partners. Who cares? So they're living in a fantasy world at the White House. So let's unpack why.
And that's the arrogancy of the so-called white man, that he makes deals where he's getting paid and his partners don't. And that's basically what he's been doing to the European partners for the last 30-something years with his different sanctions. All right, he was sanctioning nations that weren't cooperating, and some of his partners had business going on with these nations, and then are forced to sanction their own business partners, and they lose out while America just kept getting bigger and bigger. Well, they're tired of it.
This is a game changer for the U.S. power dynamic. Now, President Xi Jinping never leaves his country. He's kind of like me, never leaving my house. He only leaves when he's making big deals to weaken the United States and strengthen China. Meeting with Putin to create a new BRICS currency and leave behind the U.S. dollar, or flying to Kazakhstan, which he did. In September, President Xi flew to Kazakhstan to secure a huge oil guarantee for lower-cost petroleum for China, and also refined copper for making electronics. And in return, China will send electronics and shoes and manufactured clothing back to Kazakhstan. And now a trip to Saudi Arabia for Xi Jinping to line up massive amounts of oil for China. Now, this comes just months after President Joe Biden bumbled his way through the Middle East and vowed in a speech during his visit to Saudi Arabia that the United States would not leave a vacuum in the Middle East to be filled by China, Russia, and Iran. Watch.
Tomorrow, I'll also be laying out an affirmative framework for America's engagement in the Middle East to build on these important steps going forward. The bottom line is this trip is about, once again, positioning America in this region for the future. We are not going to leave a vacuum in the Middle East for Russia or China to fill, and we're getting results.
Saudi Arabia has traditionally been one of the U.S. closest partners in the region and relies heavily on American military aid. But now, of course, that's changing right before our eyes. The Saudis even launched jets and chemtrailed the skies with the colors of the Chinese flag. They didn't do that for the United States. The Saudis love chemtrails and cloud seeding. What better way to welcome China than with a little rain from our cloud seeding program? So we've seen the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia give the middle finger to the United States over the past few weeks and openly build closer ties with China, its largest trading partner, and with Russia, and with whom it leads the OPEC Plus grouping. Want to know just how bad it is? We've covered this more deeply in our show. I'll put a card here up on the screen up here for you guys to watch, where we actually went deeper into the Saudi Crown Prince story, ordering the execution of Washington Post reporter Jamal Khashoggi. And President Biden said during the campaign that he would treat Saudi Arabia like a pariah for this killing.
We were not going to, in fact, sell more weapons to them. We were going to, in fact, make them pay the price and make them, in fact, the pariah that they are.
Well, of course, that didn't happen. Instead, he flew to the Saudi kingdom, gave a fist bump to the prince, and just this week had a judge throw out the case against the prince. So he orders the killing of a journalist, an American journalist, and President Biden steps in and throws it away. So let's get this right. A U.S. journalist targeted for execution by the Saudi government. Biden said he would hold him accountable. Then he has the case thrown out, and the very same day, the Saudis sign a giant oil deal with the Chinese. Therefore,
but they bring home an LBGT queen, drug, weed smoking LBGT queen. I leave the patriot to be put to death. How you think Americans feel about their government right about now? The Egyptian versus the Egyptian is coming.
Pushing the United States out of the way. I mean, this is a failure of the highest order for the Biden administration.
Yep.
And also for justice. So what did China secure in this partnership with Saudi Arabia? Well, they signed 34 deals over the past 24 hours, including investments in solar panels, green energy, information technology, cloud services, transport, construction, but most notably, oil. It's a $30 billion agreement. So let's get this right. This is all happening when Europe has dropped dependence on Russia's oil and natural gas from 40% down to 9%.
So let me let you know that guess what those European allies going to do? They're going to go with the BRICS as well. America is done. It's just this last few things got to play out. It is done. There's no recovery from this. You know, it's like they have the HIV, you know, the H, the I, the V. All right. They have that HIV and it's just, and it's basically, it's turned to full-blown AIDS. So this is Revelation 19:2, and it reads, For truth and righteousness are his judgments, for he hath judged the great whore, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication, and have avenged the blood of his servants, and has avenged the blood of his servants at her hand. And that's what's about to happen. All right. What for that controversy? So why is he judging the world for the controversy of Zion? All right. Because these people have denied us our heritage and lied and oppressed us. As a matter of fact, let me get that and we'll close with that. All right. This is why the Lord is doing all this and bringing all these countries to naught and turning them against each other. So these fireworks can fly from one end of the earth to another, back and forth with each other. All right. But it says Isaiah 34 and 8. For it is the day of Yahawah's vengeance and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. All right. We are the Israelites. All right. The people over in the land of Israel are Edomites and mostly Amalek. All right. With that, we're going to give all praises, all honor and glory unto Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham Rakah Kwadash, Kwam Yasarala, Shalom.